Hello, my lovely people, how are you doing today? We are back again with another interesting episode of Minas de Passion. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe button for your daily updates. Let's dive right in. Victoria, clearly upset, emerges from Roberta's. Seeing her face, Danilo urges her to be calm. She relates what happened with Nico and suspects Roberta or Sarah are to blame. Danilo clearly blanches, his face mirroring his concern and upset. Adalberto giggles like a schoolgirl talking to Fidel, telling him about the photos of Leo and Sarah kissing. Fidel, who never changes expression, repeats the joyous news to Victoria. He then changes tactics. He wants to present Roberta to the world as his wife. Jutting her jaw out wearing a pasted smile that doesn't quite reach her eyes, Victoria makes it clear her sole concern and interest is money and power. He stares as she imperiously walks to the door and leaves. Orlando calls Ezekiel to inquire about Miriam, but Ezekiel's attention is elsewhere, having a woman on his lap who is all over him like a cheap suit. Amelia decides to torture herself by looking at pictures of Nico as a baby and his little outfits. An understanding Alida looks on sympathetically. Amelia says she was so happy when she found out she was pregnant and that her son gave her meaning. Joaquina talks to Nico, who has not touched his Sammy or chocolate milk. She wants him to tell her what happened with Victoria. He tells her about his fears that his family is going to be fractured as Leo is going to divorce Sarah because of Victoria. She softly murmurs and puts his meal on a tray. Orlando and Jenny talk about Seba's problem with Miriam. She tells him she had hired Miriam to work at the restaurant. He smiles sweetly and kisses her hand. He nestles beside her, his amorous intent obvious, but she rejects him and gets up. He looks understandably upset. Leo, in pajamas and undershirt, flashes back to a young Leo and Amelia, then back to present day, remembering a recent hug from Romina. He murmurs and is clearly concerned about his children. Gail and Zyra chat as a prime delivery man walks by. Mario is there looking on longingly. She does come over and she and Gail quickly argue but end up in a tight lip lock. Sebas talks to a policewoman about Miriam, but he leaves unsatisfied as she stares after him looking a bit guilty. Jenny is on the doctor's table and is receiving what appears to be an ultrasound. Teresa is serving dinner to Gigi and Adalberto, sitting next to each other at the dining room table, separated by the yellow police tape. Poor Teresa has to relay messages back and forth between the two as they won't speak directly to each other. Then they start yelling at each other until Teresa has had enough. Adalberto seems to be trying to sweet-talk her a bit as they lean forward toward each other. Then, Sebas arrives and confronts Adalberto about Miriam. Cayetana walks up to Gail and Mario, sarcastically asking if she is interrupting. Cayetana tries to claim ownership and Mario walks off. Cayetana puts on a show of petulance and flounces off next. Gail is left frustrated. Joaquina talks with Leo about Nico, obviously concerned. He tells her about Adalberto wanting Sarah to run for the municipality presidency. She tells him Nico is his son and a good boy. Sarah is of course mentioned and then Victoria. He decides to search for his son and talk with him. Roberta taunts Sarah again with the photo of her kissing Danilo. "You know I love Leo," Sarah says, and at that moment, Victoria arrives. She is ready for bear, determined to confront them for being responsible for getting her in trouble with Nico. Gigi gets up and stands next to Sebas as Adalberto and Sebas lock horns. Sebas wants to know about Miriam. Adalberto throws Sebas out and in response, Gigi folds her arms and looks at him expectantly. Adalberto calls Gigi a traitor, but she holds her own until he lunges at her, holding her by the throat. She is clearly shaken, holding onto a chair. Adalberto is clearly a fool, but it is glaringly apparent he is also a very dangerous one. Gigi needs to be very, very careful. Victoria lights into Sarah about Nico. Although Sarah is trying to hold her own, Roberta intercedes and asks Sarah to leave. That's all we have for today. See you on our next episode, and please don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more updates.